before you buy the metal detector, you'll need a spade, and there's no use buying a spade that's going to cost you 60 or 70 pounds when you could buy a cheap one from the local hardware store. Now this is a cheap metal detecting spade. The only problem with it, it's very short, and that will do your back in. You'll have backache by the end of the day, and if you've never been metal detecting before, you will have a bad back using this spade. This is my spade. This is the one I use. Nice long handle, little thing there for me pinpointer, and a nice long handle, but unfortunately this one has just gone, just cracked there. But I've had this spade for 2 years, and whatever spade you use, they will eventually go, because you're putting a lot of pressure on these things. So I've been using this now for every day more or less for 2 years. So what we've done is this is exactly the same spade I bought from a hardware store, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut it down. Right, I need a brick. Something to put it on, like a brick. There's a bit of wood. I do. Bit of wood. Right. We're also going to need a pen. Find me a pen. I'm going to cut it down about here, roughly. About the same on the other side. Is that about right? Yeah, that's about right. And then we're going to need one of these, an angle grinder. Perfect. Probably a little bit narrower than I would have thought, but that is going to do the job a lot better than some of the more expensive spades that you can buy. It's got a nice scooping blade, so you can be able to cut in to the sides of the holes, and it's a fraction of the cost of some of the more expensive metal detecting spades. Right, I'm just going to tidy up these edges. They're a bit sharp. There we go. It's not perfect on this side. It's a little bit of a curve to it, but having that lovely little tip, that will make it going into the holes much easier. Right, let's see if it is working. Oh, slips in easy. And it will also make cutting into the sides of the holes with that curve a lot easier, and with the long handle you'll get a lot less backache. Because there's nothing worse than the new metal detectorist giving up within a few days because it's hard work trying to dig the holes into the ground. If you do what you need is something like a spade like this. Get a builder, or if you've got the tools yourself, just cut it down, and you'll be well on your way to finding some treasure. Don't forget to obviously wear eye protection and earplugs to stop yourself from going deaf when you're using the angle grinder. Cheers! Right, what you want to do next, my lovers, is you need to go down to your local magazine shop and you need to get Treasure Hunting magazine. It's full of all the retailers, and the reason you want to pick a local retailer is because they have organised digs that will take place near your house. You don't want to pick a retailer that's 200 or 300 miles away, because what is the point of doing that when you could go on an organised dig that they would organise near to where they sell their detectors. So if you look at this map here, it lists all the retailers around the country. Another thing you want to buy is boots. These boots are thermal boots without steel toe caps. It's very important not to have steel toe caps, otherwise you'll be digging signals that aren't there. And another thing you'll need is knee pads, not because the ground is rock hard, it's because the ground's wet, especially this time of year. So these are some cheap knee pads I got from China. And before you go metal detecting, you'll need insurance. You don't want a valuable racehorse breaking a leg on a hole that you didn't fill back in properly. The problem with digging holes when the horse is around, they are heavy beasts, and when they stand on one of your holes they will sink no matter how well you fill it back in. So you will have to have insurance even if you leave a gate open and a horse or a cow gets out into the road and gets run over by a car. You don't want a hefty bill because you didn't have insurance. And remember that if you buy it now, just before Christmas, you'll only have a few months before it runs out. Don't skimp out on when you're buying a metal detector, because statistically more hoards get found by newbies than detectorists that have been using them for years. The reason being is because most new detectorists don't know the settings, so they end up digging all the signals, and they can end up finding the hoards. You often see it on the TV and the news that someone's been only metal detecting for a few months and then he finds a hoard of 50,000 Roman gold coins. You know, statistically, you've got a much better chance of finding a hoard when you're a newbie than when you're a seasoned detectorist. Also, if you join some of these Facebook groups, especially the big YouTubers on YouTube, the metal detecting YouTubers like myself, will have promotional codes that you can, when you buy the detector, you can tap in and get like 10 or 15% off buying a metal detector. You know, for my metal detector, when I bought it, it was £2,000, and I used a promotional code, and it reduced my bill by £300 or £400. So obviously you're not going to buy a CTX 3030 when you're just starting out, obviously, but you will build up to that. So it's pretty important to buy a decent metal detector when you first start, because otherwise you don't want to upgrade, you know, just a few months down the road because you bought a cheap one. Oh, and don't forget, you'll need a pinpointer. You can use the metal detector to find the target, but often when you're looking down a muddy hole, all you can see is muddy objects, and the coins will take on the same colour as the soil, and it is very difficult to spot what you're looking for. So you'll need a pinpointer so you can pop it down the hole, and it will just go, as it gets closer to the object, it goes like sort of beep, 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 when it's right on it. So you'll definitely need a pinpointer. I thought I'd put together this sort of short introduction to metal detecting, so that if you're buying a metal detector for a relative, you'll be able to know exactly what you're doing. Cheers!